You know, we say it's going to be a good segment when we immediately start cracking up with our guest.
We're kvetching over here.
Before she even makes her spotlight. Okay, so be prepared to transport yourself back to the 1930s,
Please.
a time when the circus was the ultimate escape from reality.
It truly was. Water for Elephants is the new Broadway musical that recently received 7 Tony nominations for Best Musical. And the ringleader of this production is one Jessica Stone. She is a Tony-nominated director for the 2nd year in a row. She's proven herself as one of the leading directors on The Great White Way over the last couple of years.
And with everything she has accomplished, we are honored to have her right here in studio. To be joining us now is director and actress Jessica Stone. Congrats!
Yes, thank you very much.
On all the things. We were talking about Brooklyn. What do you love most about Brooklyn? We are a New York-centric show, you say.
Well, what I love about Brooklyn is we're in Windsor Terrace, and we're so close to the park. And we've had amazing schools for our kids.
Sure.
Elementary, middle. My oldest is at Millennium in Brooklyn. Like that's what I love about Brooklyn.
Okay.
Like
love that.
raising my kids, I love about.
Stars are just like us, ish.
I know. See, and I love an advocate for raising kids in the city.
That's
I
right.
know.
That's right.
I know. It's a good place.
Let's go back to the room, the moment where you got the news. You are once again Tony Award nominated.
Well, speaking of Brooklyn, I was in Brooklyn.
Okay.
It was early in the morning, and honestly, my husband was out of town.
Okay.
He was singing at a benefit in Washington, D.C., and it was still spring break, so my teens were fast asleep, so I was by myself on the couch.
Wow.
Yes, and really excited, and you know, I think about when I was like 7 or 8, and how my 7-year-old self would have felt hearing that news. Like it's really nice. It's really nice. It's nice to have to feel a hug from your community when you've been working really hard on something.
Did you immediately call your husband or wake up your children?
He called me.
He was watching from
He was
afar.
watching from afar. He was watching from the Excella.
There you go.
In the quiet car, he's like,
He's in the quiet car. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Is this something you always set your sights on when you were 7 years old?
Well, when I was 7 years old, I set my sights on acting. And
Yes.
so I was an actress for a really long time. And probably about 15 years ago, I started realizing about myself, I had more opinions about the rest of the story than just my own characters. You know, I didn't want to just be a gatekeeper for one character. And I started assisting friends who were directors when I was between jobs, and realized I really loved being a part of the larger conversation. So I pivoted about 15 years ago, and kind of haven't looked back. I really love it.
It's so interesting because I feel like a lot of the time we get people on this couch in that world who are doing both, but they kind of go back and forth still. But you're like, no, I'm going to be in charge here.
I did. I sort of lost my love for acting, not for actors. Sure,
Right.
I'm married to an actor, but also
That's correct.
But for acting, I sort of fell out of love with it. I really enjoy being in all the conversations with designers and writers and all the actors, not just like, I just really enjoy that process.
It feels as though perhaps you have more of a hand in like the overall project. So, you know, obviously more on your shoulders, but when it does well, you're like, well, I did that.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, I mean, we have to ask you, how does it feel to be one of the leading directors in the Broadway world right now, and to be working on a show like this? Obviously, it was a book, it was a movie, and here we are. It's arrived at the Great White Way.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, I don't think of myself as one of the leading directors.
You are.
That's like that's something I can't.
We're giving you that title. So
Okay,
just accept it, please.
I
Thank
will
you.
accept it this morning and then move through it. But I will say there's something really gratifying, and this one was so many different kinds of storytelling involved. There's puppeteering and circus and dance and you know, obviously music. It's a musical. Like, there's so many different skill sets involved that being in the middle of all of those worlds was really, really gratifying and fascinating. And it's just really cool communities that are telling one story.
I remember reading the book and feeling like I was on the train. Moving through these people's lives without giving away too much. How on earth do you translate that on a singular stage?
It took a minute. It definitely took a minute. You know, it's interesting because the book's got all this historical detail, and it paints this kind of ambience that you can sort of smell
Yeah.
and feel. And movies are good with that, but something on a stage, that historical detail doesn't transfer as much. So it was like, well, why does this sing? What makes it sing? And a lot of it had to do with it's a memory play and it's someone thinking back on a really important chapter in his life. So what does he remember most when he met the woman of his dreams and realized her skill in calming a horse? And how might that look if we use circus vocabulary? So that was some of the really cool challenge.
Yeah. I bet.
Oh my goodness, I could ask you a million more questions. But I want to ask you this because you have with so much fervor moved in the direction of directing. So for somebody who might be starting off in the industry or who is an actress or an actor and thinks they want to make that pivot, what's your best piece of advice that you could offer?
I think I would tell them to see everything. See plays, musicals on Broadway, off Broadway, all over the country. See everything. Go to museums. You know, read everything. You have to fill your brain and your heart with stories and with storytellers. So that would be my biggest piece of advice.
Wow.
I'll take that advice for someone who doesn't want to be a director
I
and
like
actor.
that.
That's
Have
great.
at it.
Stuff.
That's a
Life
great piece of
advice.
advice.
Jessica Stone, thank you so much and congratulations again.
Thank you. A pleasure.